Snowy day, it don't matter. Wednesday, it don't matter. We're here. We're back. I'm just kidding.
We're back.
Welcome everyone to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who braved the elements and got out of Syracuse alive just by the skin of his teeth. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. Let's just say I'm glad I had the new tires on the car. And you just gotta take it slow. You gotta stay in the right lane. But to their credit, they did try to keep up with the roads pretty good out there. And I was able to brave the element known as Carrier Circle. I don't know if anybody familiar with Carrier Circle. Ooh, it can be a rough one. And then I did get lost on the way to dinner, though. There were multiple locations, and my GPS took me to the one in North Syracuse instead of the one that was much closer to the hotel. But we won't talk about that.
No.
I'm back. I'm ready to do the show. I'm fired up to be here. How about you, sir? How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. It's snowy day in upstate New York. We up here in Saratoga region, we got about, I would say probably about 5-6 inches of snow today.
Wow. Okay, so you got a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
I'm probably not even going to bother trying to shovel what's out there. I mean, we got maybe an inch, if that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's I was told yesterday at the pub that I went to for trivia, it's only going to be about 1 to 3 inches. Nope. I got here. My sister got home. My sister got home from her job, and I said, "Will I have to snow blow?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, crap. I really didn't want to, but I did. I'm a good brother. I did. I love my sister, so I do these things. So to help her out. So, but we're going to talk about Week 14, the NFL, what stood out to us, the biggest upsets, the biggest disappointments, the best games, all those things in just a moment. But we just want to remind you to please follow us. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also find our other podcasts and written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host, which is Podbean, Freshly Brewed Podcasts. And hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when the shows go live, when we have clips going up, and when we have special announcements like the one I'm about to drop right now. A friend of the show, Gaz, and I, we're going to do YouTube exclusive content for the college football playoff. Now that we have teams announced, and by the way, suck it Notre Dame. You don't deserve to be there. Go have some pop. To all those fans who are still salty, you need a snack. Maybe you should have a Pop-Tart,
or perhaps a Snickers. Because people get a little ornery if they don't have a Snickers. That's what I've seen.
No, but Dustin, you don't understand the joke. They were invited to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and they declined.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Maybe there should be Snickers flavored Pop-Tarts. I don't know.
There probably are. I mean, at my day job, we sampled over 20 flavors of Pop-Tarts and ranked them. There's a lot of Pop-Tarts out there.
Yeah. So just if you're watching tomorrow morning on the Belly Up YouTube channel, drop your favorite Pop-Tart in the comments section. But as for our YouTube page, the No Credentials Required page, Guys and I are going to produce some content regarding the relation to the college football playoff. We're going to preview all 4 rounds, including the championship game, which will be played on January 19th. But you want to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because we're going to start recording next week, and we'll drop our first episode the morning of the 19th. It'll be a nice episode. It'll be about the first round, which will be played at the campus sites. So we'll preview those games. And I have an inkling one of those games is going to be a monumental upset. Some might say a tidal wave. But we'll get to that when we start recording next week. But in the meantime, on the podcast side, rate, review, comment, 5-star rating. A review would be helpful on podcast platforms such as our host, which is Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Podchaser. Also, if you're on listen on Spotify, leave a comment. We'll read your reviews. We'll read your comments. Also on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. If you're watching, again, leave a comment. What's your favorite Pop-Tart? What surprised you in week 14? I know it's a little stale right now because tomorrow is week 15 already, but we don't care. It's our show. We do what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, until the time in which no credentials required and our other respective shows become our full-time job, we life gets in the way sometimes.
Oh shoot, that reminds me. I forgot to get a Powerball ticket. It's up to $920 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, but someday. But again, rate, review, comment, a 5-star rating, leave a review, leave a comment if you're on Spotify or if you're on the Belly Up YouTube channel. And we're a live show mostly on Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, where we wrap up the week in the NFL, and on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we review Thursday night's game. Tomorrow's supposed to be, I don't know what you would call a banger or clanker between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Time will tell. But we will review Thursday night's game, and we preview what stands out to us in the week that's coming in the NFL. So we would love if you drop a comment. We got plenty of comments.
Oh yeah.
Drop it in the chat right now and on the YouTube side. So even though we're late, even though we're recording a little bit later than we usually do, it's always good time for this particular tune to remind you to drop those comments in the comment section.
It's never late, nor is it on time. It's always chime time.
You got that right. Let's look at these beautiful comments. Desi checking in from the great state of Alabama. She says, "Hi, hello guys.
Hello there.
We have no snow." And friend of the show, Kevin Wilson, also your cohort on Seahawks Session, saying no snow here in Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that always I view it as an advertisement. They're trying to get us to join them in their fine state. That's the way I look at it. But my good friends in Virginia, they can't say they don't have snow. They're getting snow this year.
Yeah, everybody. I think a lot of people, a lot of places where you don't think it's going to get snow, they're going to get snow. And I think we're getting our snow very early.
Yeah,
and it'll taper off probably sometime in late January, early February. We won't get snow again. I know we're supposed to get a big warm up right around Christmas. So we may not have a white Christmas, which kind of stinks.
See, yeah, that's the only time I want it. That's the only time I want it is white Christmas, or I will revise it. I do not mind snow if I have extended time off from work and I can just chill in the house and stay warm, and I don't have to up for work and defrost the car and do all that garbage. I'm cool with it, but usually by late January, I'm like, okay, you can go now.
Yeah, late January, I'm like, all right, it's the longest month of the year. It seems like it goes on. January seems like it goes on forever.
Yeah. January really drags. At least when you hit February, you're like, okay, we made it. We made it over the hump.
Because February is so short.
Yeah.
Desi saying it's probably beach weather to y'all. Look, even if it's in the 30s, it's still, to me, it's still shorts and hoodie weather.
Oh man, I can't co-sign that. I'm a
but
diva.
It's gotta be above freezing though. Kevin's saying maybe they ran out of cherry flavor and that's why Notre Dame didn't go. I'd be the same way too. It's gotta be frosted cherry. It can't be unfrosted. You send unfrosted Pop-Tarts back to hell where they belong.
I agree with you, Ryan. We did not rank a single unfrosted Pop-Tart. They were all frosted, and I thought I didn't like the cherry, but cherry ranked in my top 5. Pretty good. It almost made the podium. I was shocked.
It's always a close one for me between cherry and blueberry. Frosted, not unfrosted.
Yeah, frosted blueberry. Frosted blueberry was my number 2. Frosted strawberry unseated it, which I did not think would happen.
Yeah. Desi saying Rudy transferred to Miami. I saw that meme too.
Oh man, that's pretty good.
Kevin saying make sure to give a shout out to the best rivalry in sports, Army Navy. And I gotta say this because my brother Jeremy will absolutely stomp me to the ground if I don't say this. Go Navy, beat Army.
Well, I believe
And Kevin will agree because Kevin was Navy. Yes.
Yeah, he's a Navy man, but on behalf of my dad, I just got to say, go Army. Dad's an Army, and my niece is in the Air Force. So shout out to the Air Force as well.
Yeah, the armed forces, all the armed forces, period. But
oh yeah.
And my dad was in the Air Force too. And
Nice.
Kevin's saying unfrosted is just wrong. Yes, I think he was on the episode where we talked about unfrosted and frosted Pop-Tarts. That was back in 2021. I think it was. Yeah, 2021. Back when I had an intern, we all talked about that in a forum. He said just like unfrosted Pop-Tarts are just, they're the devil. Like, I agree, Mason. I agree. Shout out to Mason, my old intern. All right, we're gonna left lollygagging. We've had a lot to talk about in the first, and we're 11 minutes in and change.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about week 14 in the NFL, and we're gonna start off with our game of the year of the week in week 14 in the NFL. I'm gonna have my esteemed co-host give us a go. What was your game of the year of the week?
Well, to me, there were two games. There were two games that really stood out, and I wanted to pick the other one, but hey, you got to the document first. Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. Mm-hmm. But it's not to worry, because the game that I picked for this week was Packers Bears. Man, talk about old rivalries, Kevin. Army Navy, very old rivalry. Packers Bears, very old rivalry as well. However, and some Bears fans may catch their ire, but I don't know how much you could classify it as a rivalry, because the Packers have dominated it in recent years. The Bears haven't been too good. And what was that old saying by Aaron Rodgers? He said, "I own you," because his record against the Bears was insane. But here's the thing. The Bears don't look now, but they're actually contenders again. And it's nice to see some new life injected into this rivalry. And hey, this one's a bit old school. It's clear Matt LaFleur, Ben Johnson, they took some jabs at each other in the offseason. I mean, Johnson started it because he was saying he respected the NFC North coaches. He called it, he gave flowers to Kevin O'Connell and, of course, his old boss, Dan Campbell in Detroit. And then he did that smile and he said, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. That started it. And then Matt LaFleur responded in August and he said, I respect the Bears. They got a great coach, as he calls it, Ben Johnson. And he did walk it back a little bit. He said he's one of the best play callers in the game. But, you could tell there's a little frostiness between these two. They want to beat each other. I like to see that. And the thing is, this game lived up to it. This game lived up to it here because like I said, I'm glad this rivalry's back, but the game got off to a slow start. Love threw his only interception of the game early to halt a drive, but the Bears couldn't capitalize on anything. The first TD in this game was not scored until 9:19 left in the second. It was the Packers. Love to Watson, who Watson had a huge game. Kevin will tell you it's frustrating for fantasy players because we never know which Packers receiver it's going to be. It changes week to week, but they managed to get it done. The Bears responded with a field goal after going for it on fourth down to extend the drive. Caleb used his legs to get the job done, which was a bit of a theme this game. The Packers defense was able to pressure Caleb Williams, but he was able to use his legs a little bit to get out of trouble. And Caleb Williams is faster than I realized. I forget about that aspect of his game, but he can move on his feet. He's got some speed. But so he would do that a number of times in this game to extend drives. Jordan Love hit Bo Melton with a beautiful deep pass for a touchdown. I gotta take my hat off to Jordan Love. I think he's really elevated his play this year. And then the Bears responded with their own drive, capped by a touchdown to Zacchaeus. I don't know how Caleb Williams fit this ball into this window. I thought it was picked. Go back and watch it if you haven't on Fox. They had a great camera angle that showed this. The Bears then went for two to convert and make it 11-14 Pack. Love hit Watson for another TD. They go up 21-11. Cairo Santos hits a 41-yard field goal to cut into the lead. But then the Bears scored again, too, from on a touchdown from Caleb Williams to Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland, he doesn't get enough. He's been nice for the Bears this year. I mean, they got the combo of Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, the rookie at tight end there. But, Tyler Warren's getting a lot of love in Indy, but Colston Loveland's been big at points for the Bears. And the game was tied with 7:47 in the fourth because business picked up. I'm petitioning Ryan for a new segment. Red Zone has the witching hour. I am petitioning that whenever a game like this picks up, we call it the JR effect. So that's what we're going to do, the JR effect. So I got to give some flowers to Josh Jacobs, surprising no one. I'm always going to show love to a running back, but I feel like we've talked about a lot of running backs this year. We've talked about Bijan. We've talked about Jonathan Taylor, deservedly so. Josh Jacobs has been unbelievably consistent since he went from the Raiders to the Packers. We knew that he ran hard on the Raiders. We were shocked that they let him go. And he was great in this game. His runs, he didn't have a lot of long ones, but he had some gutty runs to extend drives for the Packers, and he had none bigger than the run in the fourth that got stopped at the 5-yard line. I don't know how he broke through the line on that play, but he did. He was able to cap it for the go-ahead TD. That would ultimately be the Bears' undoing, as Caleb Williams picks a terrible time for his only interception in the end zone. Victory goes to the Pack in this one. What a game. And a little bit of a shout out. I called out Tom Brady last year. I didn't think he was doing a good job at announcing. He sounded robotic. He sounded uninterested. He's definitely a bit more engaged on the announcing side this year, I think. And it shows. And it brought another level to this. He was reacting like a fan when he saw a great throw, and then he would tell you why it was a great throw. And when perhaps the greatest QB to ever play the game, sorry, Ryan, whenever he says it, you listen.
Yeah, I think part of it, probably Kevin Burkhardt's energy is starting to rub off on him.
Yeah.
And I also have to wonder if he talked to Tony Romo in the offseason just to say, look, I need some tips, man. I'm getting too much criticism about being too robotic. Can you give me some help here? Like, yeah, I got you, man. But it also seems like it seems like some of that energy that Tony Romo has being sucked out by Tom Brady, because he hasn't been as enthusiastic in some games as he usually has been. But I don't know, there could be something else.
Rumor was that CBS kind of like talked to him and they said, "Hey, you're like stepping on Jim Nantz." I mean, who knows if that's true? I don't know.
I don't think so. Come on, bring back the old Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Kevin saying Packers Bears isn't a rivalry until the Bears win a few. Yeah, I think they have one more meeting the rest of this season, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's week 18. I'll double check real quick. Schedule, because they're all flex games in week 18.
I do love flex. Flex is the best.
Flex games. I'm sorry, Detroit, Chicago is week 18.
Okay.
But they meet again in week 17.
Okay.
So that could decide the division for sure. He also says, I have a few Packers receivers in fantasy. I never know which one to start.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But Matt LaFleur, he doesn't care.
He don't care. All right. As for me, my game of the year of the week was Bengals Bills, and I have been texting back and forth with Dustin about this game throughout Sunday. I was at my parents' house. We were putting up their Christmas tree. They're very happy. Nice. The fact that my sister and I stopped down and did their Christmas tree and their Christmas lights, and we're watching Red Zone because I was one who turned my dad onto it. My dad's like, I love this. There's no commercials. Well, now, unfortunately, there's commercials during Red Zone, which, by the way, yes, thanks a lot, ESPN.
Yeah.
That mouse, his dirty influence. But let's talk about this game. Bengals and Bills. Bengals actually led throughout this game.
Yeah.
I believe at one point they were up 14-3 in the first half. And in the locker room, they were up 21-11, and they were up by as many as 10 throughout the third quarter. But things started to turn around. The Bills' run game got going against a Bengals defense that had been improving, but unfortunately, the Bengals defense returned to its sloppy form, giving up the most yards in the NFL, and they give up over 180 yards of rushing to the Buffalo Bills. James Cook had 80. Josh Allen had 78 himself. It looked like for a while Joe Burrow was going to carry this team himself. He did it on Thanksgiving, and he actually had 4 touchdown passes in this game.
Yeah.
4 of them. He had 3 up until the fourth quarter, and that's when the game turned on its head because of the Bills' defense and what they did. 2 interceptions on consecutive drives. The first one being Christian Benford's pick 6 for 53 yards, which put the Bills up by 4 because they had gone for the 2-point conversion in the first half. So they were up 32-28. And then another interception on the second drive after that led to a touchdown, which put the Bills up by 11. But then the Bengals scored, and they were making it a game, 38-34. And I'm surprised they didn't go for the onside kick. But I think at that point, there were still 3 minutes left in the game. And I think Zach Taylor, who, if the Bengals don't make the playoffs this year, I think he's gone. I think he had enough faith in his defense to get it done, but then Josh Allen ran for a first down on 3rd and 10 plus, and that was pretty much the game right there. So this game, the Bengals had this game. The Bengals had the Bills dead to rights many, many times in this game, just couldn't keep their foot on the Bills' throat. And I think this cost them not only a playoff spot, but also a very outside chance of winning the AFC North, which who wants to win the AFC North?
Yeah.
Because, man, oh, man, that controversial call in the Ravens game, I think there was anywhere else that was a catch. But for this officiating crew and then going upstairs and then go up to New York to decide it, which I think should happen less often. Let the human interaction, let the human element come into it. Keep the human element in that thing.
Well, it was Likely again, too, wasn't it, Ryan? It was Isaiah Likely.
Isaiah Likely, yeah.
Guy can't catch a break.
I know he can't. But Bengals, any outside chance of a playoff spot, I think this actually killed it in this game, even with Joe Burrow was going to doing his thing. And the Bills are staying alive. They gained a game on the Patriots. The Patriots had a bye week this week. And for the Patriots to maintain their foothold on the division, they needed the Bills to lose. Well, the Bills are now only 2 games out. And this week, brief spoiler alert, this may be a game to watch this week in the NFL because the Bills are in Foxborough for the early game, which I think we did have our first flex of the season this past weekend. The NFL moved the Dolphins. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about that on. Actually, no. It happened yesterday. They moved Bengals Dolphins. That was a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
So the early window in week 16 for Patriots and Ravens. So, but yeah, the Bills they still have a shot at winning their 6th consecutive AFC East title. They have. After that game against the Patriots, if they beat the Patriots, they have the Browns, Eagles, a very underwhelming Eagles team, and the Jets in Week 18. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Patriots host the Dolphins in Week 18. So the Bills still in it to win it, and. Yep, I'm right. Miami is at New England Week 18. So
okay.
So yeah, Bills have an outside shot. Still have their shot to maintain their foothold on the AFC East. All right, we're gonna move on to the biggest upset in Week 14, and it's pretty universal for the both of us. And the rundown, Dustin, Saints over the Buccaneers. Although, could you count the Titans beating the Browns as an upset, maybe a little bit.
I almost did pick that, but to me, this Bucks Saints game just
Yeah,
felt like the bigger
more
deal.
significance.
But yes, because the Browns, while I'll give them a clear edge defensively, it's not like they're offensively like they're some juggernaut. So I think that's what changed it for me. I felt like
Yeah.
the teams, that was more of a case of a teams that were more evenly matched than the Bucks Saints.
Okay.
So that's what shifted it for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about this game. We've talked about the Saints all season and how their play has not been indicative of what their record is. And it showed in this game. Absolutely showed in this game because this is considered, I consider this the biggest upset of the week, considering, again, the teams that were in this, their records at the start of this game. Saints, I think they hadn't been mathematically eliminated yet from the playoffs. But because of where they are, which division they're in, they're still considered mathematically in a playoff spot. Nope, actually, no, I'm sorry. They were eliminated. My bad.
Okay.
They're 2-10 under in this game. Tampa was 7-5, and they had a half game lead over Carolina. But Tyler Shug had to be just efficient enough not to screw it up for the Saints. 13-20, 143 yards. He threw a pick, but he helped himself with the run game. The run game for the Saints was working. They had over 100 yards of rushing in this game. He himself had 55 yards, and he ran for 2 touchdowns, which I'll talk about in just a brief moment. The Saints, though, the Buccaneers, they did enough to stay alive in this game, and they actually won the time of possession battle. But the difference in this game was the Saints defense, particularly Alontae Taylor's interception on Tampa's first possession of the second half, which turned things around because on the next series for the Saints, Tyler Shug ran for a 34-yard touchdown. Ugly. The game looked ugly at times.
Yeah.
On red zone, you're like, wow, I'm surprised this is not pixelated because of how ugly this is. This is a bad game. And I'll talk about those stats in a second. But the Saints defense shined. They did what they did. They had a 4th down stop of the Buccaneers. The game was tied, and it led to another Tyler Shug touchdown run. I think it was a 13-yard run, if I'm not mistaken. They took the lead. They wouldn't relinquish it. The Saints kicked a field goal. They got within 4, but they got a 4th down stop in Buccaneers territory with just under 2 minutes. With under 2 minutes left in the game, I think it's under a minute and a half left in the game. Cade Otton caught a pass from Baker Mayfield, but they were a half yard short of the line to gain, and that was the game. And this is the stat that really stood out to me. The Buccaneers went for it on 4th down 7 times in this game, only converted twice. Like I said, it was an ugly game. You look at that game recap on in the play-by-play section on ESPN. Man, I'm just gonna bring it up right now. If I go to the scores and I go to week 14 and I go to Nolan's Tampa, this is the series that happened in the first half. Touchdown, punt, downs, missed field goal, punt, interception, field goal, punt, downs.
Man.
Ugly affair. And at the half, it was 10-7 Tampa.
Yeah.
So, man, this was an ugly game. And again, a key game in the NFC South, because right now, Carolina and the Buccaneers are tied for first place, and they play each other twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. Those are going to be huge games. And we talked about it a couple weeks. We talked about it, I believe it was either last week or the week before, about how Carolina, Tampa, the division could be decided in week 18.
Man, what a world we live in right here. What a world we live in. And you're right, Ryan. And the thing that I have to wonder, and you know more about Todd Bowles' coaching philosophy than most because of his time with the Jets. but I have to wonder how much the weather impacted game plans
Yep.
for both teams. This
Mm-hmm.
was a rainy affair, and
Yep.
you could see it affected people's grip on the football. It was, but I wonder if Todd Bowles went for it so many times on fourth down because he figured whoever possesses the ball more is going to win this game. We got to extend some drives. Let's try some runs. Let's try some short passes to convert, and it just didn't work out. And I also want to give a little credit to Saints head coach Kellen Moore, because for one, I don't know how you felt, Ryan, but when they decided they were going to switch to Shuck, uh, from Spencer Rattler, I'm going, man, this isn't going to go well at all. Like what's going to happen here? And I think the team has looked better with the rookie at quarterback. I think he brings he like, it's not like he's gonna be he's blowing people away and everything, but he'll do some sneaky things sometimes, like you mentioned with the rush game, to keep drives going. And it just seems like he's kind of figuring it out. And I just think the Saints look slightly better with him at quarterback. So Kellen Moore, he knew what he was doing. He knew his team there.
Yeah, which debate, right now, according to Tankathon, I believe the Saints are third. No, I'm sorry, they dropped to fifth in the draft order. So
Wow.
Current draft order as it stands, Giants have the number 1 pick in the draft, followed by the Raiders, Titans, Browns, Saints, Commanders, Jets, Cardinals, the Rams by virtue of Atlanta. Great job, Atlanta. Yeah. And the Bengals.
I'm thinking that I'm sorry, everybody. The Raiders are coming for that number 1 pick. If the Titans,
no doubt.
If the Titans can finish some games with the way they played last week, the Raiders have that number 1 pick. It's been a disaster.
Did you see the meltdown by Dave Portnoy after that game?
No.
When the Raiders covered, he wanted a federal investigation.
Oh,
he wanted the FBI to investigate. It's like, this is a travesty. Pete Carroll should be in jail. I put the FBI on this, and we covered the game. It cost us. Like,
Pete needed 2 scores. A field goal was one of those scores. Okay.
Look, Dave Portnoy is a multi-millionaire. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because he lost a few thousand doesn't, come on. Dude,
yeah,
come on, get over yourself.
Yeah, come on, keep helping out the small businesses like you were, Dave, and maybe don't go on social media to complain about your bets, your bad beats.
All right, we're gonna move on to the biggest disappointments in Week 14. I'm gonna have my co-host start with his biggest disappointment in Week 14.
Oh man, I feel bad, Ryan. I feel bad, but friend of the show, D. Willie's not gonna be happy with me about this one. Drew Willingham, I'm sorry, buddy. But to me, it was the Commanders. Just as a team, offensively, they couldn't get anything done against. Credit to the Vikings defense. They've looked very stout at times this year, particularly against the Seahawks last week, and then this week they looked amazing. Jaden Daniels was 9 for 20 for 78 yards and an interception. You have to wonder if he should have been back for this game. And then I don't know if you saw it, Ryan. There's that scary moment where he got absolutely demolished and he got up holding his elbow, and you're thinking, oh boy. Now at least Dan Quinn took him out. I guess he was lobbying to go back in. But I'm glad that discretion was the better part of valor there, and Dan Quinn stepped in and said, hey, you're not going back in the game. But man, he looked bad. There's no other way to slice it. Chris Rodriguez had 10 carries for 52 yards. Not great. I mean, 5.2 yards of carries, pretty good. Some of that is probably due to the fact that they fell behind and had to abandon the run, had to start trying to throw it to come back. Terry McLaurin, after exploding last week for that Broncos against the Broncos, he had 3 receptions for 41 yards. They just looked out of sync. Offensively, they couldn't get anything going. And defensively, to some degree, they could not stop J.J. McCarthy. They made 9.
You didn't. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh. They made 9 look more competent. in weeks, than he has in weeks. He didn't. I mean, his yardage total, it's not eye popping. It's 163 yards, and he was 16 of 23. But he had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. JJ McCarthy was throwing interceptions like a madman to anybody over the last stretch. And with the Commanders, I mean, he looked by his standards, he looked great. So I mean, it was just a goose egg by the Commanders in this game. Just not a great performance at all.
No, it was pretty awful. It was pretty pitiful. And there was even one play where JJ McCarthy, no relation, threw that pass to TJ Hawkinson, and you just saw 2 Commanders defenders just collide, which enabled Hawkinson to get in the end zone. One guy barely got up. So it was not a great day for friend of the show, Drew Willingham's Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment in week 14, it was the Eagles' offensive performance against the Chargers, particularly Jalen Hurts. What happened to him?
Oh, man.
Good Lord. We lauded him before the season began. We called him the best quarterback in the NFC. We had that list by Mike Tannenbaum that we panned. We got roasted over the coals by Packers fan. So be it. That's our opinion at the time.
Yes.
Because going into the season, we said Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. Therefore, he's the best quarterback in the NFC. But his performance against the Chargers, my goodness, it was bad. And look, maybe Kirk Herbstreit, his observation of the Eagles last Black Friday against the Bears, maybe he was correct. I mean, you can only say so much about Kevin Patullo's play calling, but the Eagles players, they have to execute.
Yeah.
Hurts was a liability on Monday Night Football against the Chargers. Yeah, he passed for 240 yards, but he threw 4 interceptions and even committed 2 turnovers on the same play. That's a historic play.
Yeah.
There's never been, I shout out to friend of the show, Rod Peterson. I'm going to have to get him back on the show.
Oh,
I was on his show a couple weeks ago. I'll have to get him in for a show before the NFL season ends as a guest. But he noted on Tuesday that this was the first time since plays had been recorded starting in 1978. That's 47 seasons. This had never happened where a quarterback throws an interception, the ball is fumbled, he recovers, and then he fumbles and loses the football. It never happened. It may have happened back in probably the 1940s, 1950s when the NFL was a little bit more wilder, but this had never happened since plays have been recorded in the 47 years they've been recorded.
Man,
Saquon Barkley, he only had his second 100 rushing yard game this season. The first one was against the Giants where he ran for 150 yards and then tweaked his groin. This one he had 122 yards and a touchdown. But his drop-off from last season, it has to be studied.
Yeah.
It has to be studied. Yeah. He was a 2,000-yard rusher last season. He's only got about 800 and change yards this season for the Eagles. It's been a huge drop-off. And we still have 4 weeks to go in the season.
Yeah.
So the Eagles, I gotta say this, the Eagles defense, they've held their end of the bargain. They're still the same defense as last year, but when is the Eagles offensive last year going to stand up? Because they've been a huge disappointment this season.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe it, Ryan. And you know what? I didn't get a chance to see a lot of this game, but I remember, do you remember, Ryan? And I can't remember if it was, I think it was a couple seasons ago. Yes. Or it might have been last season. But the Eagles went up to Seattle it was either a Monday night game. I believe it was a Monday night game. Went up to Seattle, and Drew Lock was starting at quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. This was a few seasons ago. Yep. Geno was still the starter.
This was 2023.
Okay, yeah, 2023, I believe. Yes, and Jalen Hurts did not have a good game that game. He looked terrible. But it came out later that he had the flu or something during that game. He was sick. He was not well but I don't think that was the case with this one. I don't know what was up with him this game.
Yeah,
maybe it's the no credentials required curse. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not been a great season. Offensively, at least for the Eagles. They're still in first place. The Cowboys lost this week, so they're still in first place in the NFC East. I don't know if Dallas is going to catch them or not, but man, the Eagles, they gotta pick up the slack soon. And a good thing for them that they've already faced the Cowboys twice. Their schedule, they have a pretty easy. Eagles have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. They have 2 games against the Commanders, and they play the Bills in Week 17 on it's the feature game on Fox.
That should be a good one.
That's gonna be a good one, but damn, they should. I think they better not treat the Commanders lightly. Yeah. They better not take the Commanders lightly in those 2 games the rest of the season, because if they do, Dallas is creeping up on them. Dallas could overtake them. Dallas's schedule is a little bit easier coming down the stretch. They have the Vikings, the Chargers, and the Commanders to end the season. No, I'm sorry, the Commanders and the Giants. So I missed the game for the Eagles. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
So the Cowboys have the Vikings, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Giants. The Eagles have the Commanders, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bills, and then the Commanders again. So they better not take any of these opponents lightly, especially on offense for the rest of the year.
They just have a feel of a team, for as talented as they are, and they have a feeling of a team that's reeling, and they gotta get it right quick. They gotta figure out something quick, and if they come out flat-footed against some of these opponents, it could be trouble for them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you saw it, Ryan, but Jerry Jones, he's riding high. He was on Seahawks Sessions. He informed us that his favorite Christmas carol was "Oh Christmas Tree, Oh Christmas Tree," and he regaled us with tales of singing that door to door with Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson impressed him with his German. Although when Jimmy Johnson sang "Oh Tannenbaum," Jerry asked him if it was some sort of skincare product. So, but Jerry's feeling pretty good.
Oh man, I forgot to read this one. So I talked about Mickey Mouse.
Oh yes,
about ESPN, how they ruined Red Zone forever. Desi chimed in with MICKEY. I can't sing the rest of the song, obviously, because of trademark.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take our network mandated commercial break, but when we come back, we'll talk about peak performers in Week 14, our biggest takeaways from Week 14. We'll update the standings for the Cut the Brakes Pick'em Challenge. Spoiler alert, it was not a good week for me. And talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 90. So stand by and stay tuned for more. No credentials required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, thanks to our one of our sponsors here at Belly Up Sports, that is SeatGeek. We haven't talked about them in a while in this podcast because I usually profile them for just embrace the suffering, and I haven't recorded that in over a month, so we're giving them some shine in this program. Listen, the holiday season's here. Hanukkah, I believe, starts this week. Christmas is right around the corner. 2 weeks. You got 15 shopping days, folks. 15 shopping days until Christmas. And that means, looking for some great gifts for your kids. Take them to a sporting event. Take them to a great sporting event. You got the NFL, which is still in effect for another 4 weeks. And some teams are awful, but you can still get tickets at great prices.
What a pitch.
That's me. Great pitchman I am. NFL still in effect. The college football playoff. You can look for tickets on there. NHL. I suppose the NBA. Major League Baseball. Their season. They've released their schedule during last season. You can buy tickets at SeatGeek right now. College basketball, college hockey. What if your event requires a box office ticket? You're likely going to find it on SeatGeek. It's not just sporting events; it's also concerts. It's also comedy shows. It's also the theater. Whatever requires a box office ticket, you can find it at SeatGeek. Use their premier pricing tool, which will help you find great tickets at a great price. The dark green dot indicates a great price. The red to yellow may not be in your price range, but you can still get a great deal at SeatGeek. And for your order of $50 or more, you can save $20 by using promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. Go to SeatGeek.com. Again, use BellyUpSports at checkout. You get $20 off your order of $50 or more. And again, it's not just the major leagues, but you can also find minor league baseball tickets, minor league hockey. Friend of the show, Kenny.
Oh yeah,
his family. He bought tickets using the Belly Up Sports promo code and saved himself $20 for our tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we were there drinking fine beers, watching a fine hockey game. Thanks to the savings from SeatGeek, we were able to get extra beers.
Yes, we did. It's great. Again, SeatGeek.com, promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, $20 off your order of $50 or more. Moving on to Week 14 in the NFL, we're continuing with our theme, peak performers in Week 14. And look, I gotta give my flowers where flowers are supposed to be due. Shedeur Sanders against the Titans. Granted, it was against the Titans, but he had nearly 400 yards of total offense, including 364 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Accuracy was lacking. If I remember off the top of my head, it was 23 of 45 for 364 passing yards. But even though his accuracy was lacking, he made some really impressive throws in this game, including 2 touchdown passes, one to David Njoku, the other to Harold Finnan Jr., who was quickly turning into his favorite receiver. Now, I got to ask, what was up with that decision by Kevin Stefanski for that potentially game-tying 2-point conversion? He did not have Shedeur Sanders on the field. He used some play you probably saw in the Water Boy.
Who knows? I mean, that's crazy to me. And I don't know if you've seen it on social media, Ryan, but there's a lot of Shedeur stands who are convinced Stefanski hates Shedeur. He's not going to put him in. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not true. That's not true. But then he does this, and you're like, is there something there? Because after the game he had, whether you feel a certain way about Shedeur, whether you think he's a Hall of Famer, or whether you think that, whether you think that he should have been drafted in the 5th round, there is no denying he's brought a little bit of he's looked better than Dillon Gabriel has leading the Browns offense. They can actually do a couple of things, from time to time now with Shedeur on the field, and to not have him out there for the potential game tying 2-point conversion, which I almost picked this game as my most entertaining game, but Bears Packers edged it out for me. Man, I don't understand it.
Yeah. So that's my peak performer in Week 14. What about yours, Dustin? Your peak performers in Week 14.
I'm picking a couple. I'm doing one offense and one defense. I'm going to lead off with offense and surprise everybody. PD's back. I'm lauding another running back, but it's not a running back that you think. I'm going to the game that you just talked about, Ryan. One of the big reasons the Titans won this game, Tony Pollard, he ran all over the Browns. And the Browns, we've talked about it 1,000 times. The Browns are no slouch on defense. The Browns defense is very good. Tony Pollard had 25 carries, 161 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Unbelievable game by Tony Pollard, who has been consistently running behind the worst offensive line in football, but something worked for him this game. So shout out to Tony Pollard. There hasn't been a lot of Titans love on the show. Well, you're getting some this show.
Yeah.
And then defensively, shout out to our tribal chief.
Can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
I gotta pick Nick Emanwari. I mean, yeah, call me a homer if you want to, but
Homer alert.
But I watch a lot of Seahawk games. You know, they're my team. You got to follow them. Ryan knows a lot about the Jets because guess what? They're his team. We focus on our teams. We focus on the whole league, but we focus on our teams. And
Desi showing some love for our tribal chief.
There we go. Appreciate that. But I got it. Nick Emanwari, he's healthy, and he and Devin Witherspoon are on the field together, which I feel could be big for the Seahawks because they really haven't had a chance to play together. I'll get more into that on Seahawks sessions later this week. But Nick Emanwari was everywhere in this game. He had 5 solo tackles. He had a sack. He had an interception. And, oh, yeah, he blocked a field goal too. Every time I see this kid play and he's healthy, I'm so happy that the Seahawks moved up to draft him, and I don't know how he dropped to the second round, but I'm thrilled he did. That's amazing. A sack, an interception, and a blocked field goal, along with 5 tackles. Emanwari had it going in this one.
So I'm doing a thumbnail markup on ChatGPT as we speak.
Oh, no.
I'm just laughing. I gotta share this with you.
Is it the JR effect?
That's what it looks like so far.
Yours is not bad, but I look like straight trash, man.
You look like Davy Jones from the Monkees.
I know. It's bad. Or I look like David Schwimmer if he was on mushrooms or something. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Cheer up, Sleepy Gene. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Got to zoom in a little bit more.
Man. Oh, that's a tough one. Oh,
that's special.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Well, I like I said, it's just an initial markup. I haven't really done a whole lot yet. I'm trying to use ChatGPT for our thumbnails. All right, we're gonna move on to our biggest takeaways from Week 14. I'll have my co-host lead off with his biggest takeaway from Week 14.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, but if you tuned into the Seahawks Sessions postgame show, I already kind of mentioned it, but it's really my biggest takeaway from Week 14. I feel terrible for Daniel Jones. I really do. He was already playing through a fractured fibula, and he suffered and don't go back and look it up. It's not good. But he suffers a non-contact injury and he tears his Achilles and he's done. He's done for the year. And you could see his emotional reaction on the ground. He knew it. He banged his helmet on the turf because he knew. And you could just see the frustration. And, you know, sometimes we need reminders that athletes are humans as well. We tend to make them larger than life, and that's on us. But they're humans, and he was having a heck of a season, okay? I know it must be a bitter pill for Giants fans to swallow. I've talked to Uncle Al about it. Uncle Al was like, where was this in New York? You know, but apologies to Uncle Al and Wise, but I'm sad the ride is over. Also, don't question his toughness again. Playing through a fractured fibula is you can't question whether Daniel Jones wants to win or whether he cares about his teammates, because anybody that would go out there with a fractured fibula and obviously every week risk it getting worse and still going out there and trying to get it done. He silenced a lot of critics this year, including myself. I made fun of the Colts when they signed him. And then when they announced that he was the starter, I was like, oh, man, it's going to be a long season for the Colts. Well, he made me eat my words because what they start out 7-2.
Yep.
The Colts were unbelievable to start the season, and a lot of it was because of Mr. Daniel Jones. So, Mr. Daniel Jones, I am sad that your season is over, and I hope you heal up and you come back strong next year.
Did you see who they signed to the
Yes,
practice
I
roster?
did. Yes, I did. Oh my God, he has had some great quotes where they ask him. They go, Philip, what's your playing weight? And he goes, right now, this second, he goes, I don't know what it is, but he goes, I'll answer the question a little better. He said, it's certainly not what it is when I walked off the field in Buffalo. Okay. And he said, but I was never known for getting away from people. He said, they always say, oh, well, they know you're going to be right there. He goes, it was that way for about 17 years. So I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, he's got coach bod right now.
Yeah, he definitely does. You could see, I saw the clip of him throwing a couple passes in the practice facility. The arm still looks good, but yeah, when he was dropping back, I'm like, oh, that's a different Phillip Rivers for sure.
Yeah,
He could field his own offensive line with kids for sure. For sure. He's got
And
11
grandkids.
kids.
And he's got grandkids too.
Yeah, he's a one grandkid, I think. Yeah.
All right. My biggest takeaway from week 14, and this is going to be about my New York Jets. And this might sound like histrionics, but this might be one of the worst defenses in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
And I say this for one reason. 13 games this season. The Jets have 2 takeaways.
Oh, man. Yeah, I forgot about this stat.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have 2 takeaways. And one of those takeaways is on the defense. It was a fumble recovery on the first series against Denver in their London game. And the other takeaway was last week against the Falcons on special, but that was on special teams. So I don't know if that really counts. I mean, it counts as a takeaway, but it's not a defensive takeaway. It's a special teams takeaway. And God bless Quantez Stiggers. He's a Pro Bowl nominee. And if you don't know about his story, he did not go to college. He tried out for fan-controlled football, and he earned a spot. He went to tryouts for the Toronto Argonauts, made the team, helped them win a Grey Cup in 2022, and 2 seasons later, he's drafted in the NFL, and he was drafted as a corner, which he's a depth corner right now, but he's actually turned into the Jets' primary gunner, and has had a great season. The special teams is probably the best unit on that squad right now.
Wow.
Between Nick Folk, Austin McNamara, and Isaiah Johnson, who they cut, but he has 2 punt returns this season. He had a punt return last week against the Dolphins, which turned out to be the only touchdown they had because the offense was just. Ugh. I'll talk about that another time. But this defense, they cannot cause turnovers. They are allergic to interceptions. Part of it is that they can't get after the quarterback. I looked at it, they're 28th in sacks this year, which is a huge drop off from where they were 2 seasons ago, where they're absolutely eating quarterbacks, getting after the quarterback, eating them, causing turnovers, fumbles. Whenever there's a fumble, nobody's near the ball. When there's an interception or there's a tip pass, they can't get to it on time. It's either an incredible string of bad luck or this team's just allergic to turnovers. A lot of it has to do, and the Jets right now are currently on track for the NFL record for the least amount of takeaways in a season. It's historically bad. And I hate to say that because it's my team, but this is turnover futility on a higher plane than probably any other defense in league history. And part of it's the players. They're schemed to do follow their assignments and do what they're supposed to do. But at the same time, I really hope that Aaron Glenn takes a look at tape this season and just says to Steve Wilkes, listen, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you trying to do the job, but it's not working, man. It's not working. I'm surprised that Aaron Glenn hasn't taken over defensive play calling since week 2. I mean, that's how far back this futility goes. It goes all the way back to week 1. They had 4 sacks in week 1, and they haven't really produced anything since, if it only 18 cents. But I'm just hoping that he takes a hard look and has to say to Steve Wilkes, listen, thank you for coming in, but we have to let you go. And I mean, so again, like I said, some of it's the players, but a lot of it has to do with scheme, which they've been thoroughly outclassed by opposing offenses going all the way back to week 1. Even though they had so much success running the ball in week 1, having over 400 yards of offense against the Steelers, defense couldn't stop the team. Couldn't get a stop when it happened, when they needed it most. Mm-hmm. And they've had a few times this year where they've had chances to stop the other team from scoring and get a win, and it hadn't happened.
Well, and they had that Denver game in London, which I forgot about. The Jets led a lot of that game. I almost forgot about that.
Yep, they led. They didn't, but just couldn't put points together. They couldn't get points on the board. Couldn't score a touchdown. And again, against the Buccaneers, they had that blocked field goal return for a touchdown to take the lead, but they left too much time on the clock for Baker Mayfield to drive down the field and get the game-winning field goal. There are a lot of chances this year to get a win. His defense just couldn't stop it. So it's like, they have 4 weeks to figure things out, try to get an interception, try to get another takeaway, because right now, 2 takeaways in 13 games is just historically, it's bad on another level that I can't describe. And I think I looked it up before the show, and 2 teams, the 2019 Saints and the 2024 Bills, only had 8 takeaways all season in those seasons. So this is just it's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, it's Sunday. They were unbearable to watch. They were up down 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, and this was just a game that I feel bad for any Jets fan who had to endure all that. And I have a feeling that, I mean, there's only one home game this year. The rest of the season, it's against New England. I have a feeling a lot of Jets fans are going to be selling their tickets to Patriots fans to send a message. I actually encouraged it, I think in week 4 when I talked about it on Just Embrace the Suffering. I was calling for fans to, if it gets this bad by the end of the season, by week 17, sell your tickets, sell it to a Patriots fan, let Woody Johnson know you're not running this team the right way.
Yeah. I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Didn't want to hear it anyway. Just kidding.
This is my segment.
It's my segment. All right, we're gonna get to our the results of our cut the breaks pick'em challenge.
Because I cut the breaks. Wild card, bitches. Yeah! What?
All right, here are the results from week 14. And on Saturday, I revealed that I was up by 7 points. I was high and mighty. This week, Dustin nailed all of his picks, including his upset pick. So we get the bonus point. I nailed none of my picks. And now the lead is only 3 with 4 weeks to go.
Yeah, but that's crazy. You went over and I had a clean sweep and you're still up by 3.
Well,
you're still up by 3.
All these games were close, though.
They were, yeah.
That's why I was rooting so hard for the Browns. I was rooting hard for the Buccaneers. I was rooting super hard for the Bears for numerous reasons, not just my upset pick, but I wanted to shut up my friend Dave for the Packers. Derailed our group conversation about the college football playoff. He's like, well, it doesn't matter. The Packers are losing 14-3. Shut up, Dave. We're talking about college football. Hope they lose. And at one point they were, and when the Bears tied, I was like, oh no, what happened? But unfortunately the Packers won. So right now Dustin is down 3 with 4 weeks to go in our Cut the Breaks Pick'em Challenge presented by Royal Retros, the king of throwbacks. Use promo code CREDHEAD at checkout. You get 10% off your order. Plus, you get free shipping for every order over $100 or more. And that is your update for the Cut the Breaks Pick'em Challenge.
Because I cut the breaks. Wow!
All right, we're going to move it along to our last segment of the night. Our favorite athletes to wear number 90. I'm going to get a start on this category because I had one player in mind when I saw the number 90. And I guess you could call it a semi-homer alert. But I went with Joe Juneau. Former hockey player, 16 seasons in the NFL. I'll tell you why. It's a semi-homer alert. Joey Juneau, born in Pont Rouge, Quebec. For all you uncultured swine out there, it means Red Bridge. He attended RPI without knowing a lick of English.
Wow.
Coming into school at the tender age of 18 years old. But I'm sorry, it was the age of 19. I'm sorry, it was 19 years old when he attended when he started attending RPI. RPI being in Troy, New York. Again, semi-homer alert. Spent 4 years at RPI, was a 2-time All-American as an RPI engineer, scored 71 goals in 4 seasons, and graduated with a 4.0 in aeronautic engineering in 1991.
Woo.
Yeah. Not knowing a lick of English coming into school. Incredible. But while he was at RPI, he was drafted in the 4th round, 71st overall by Boston in the 1988 NHL draft. Held out after he graduated from college. He actually held out due to contract negotiations. Wound up joining the Canadian national team in 1992. He earned a spot on the Olympic squad that went to the gold medal game in Albertville, France. Lost to the, quote, unified team, basically the USSR, in the gold medal match. So he earned a silver medal. He actually joined he actually went up, joined the Bruins. They cleared the contract negotiations. They joined the Bruins after the Olympics, and in his first full season in 1992-93, he scored 102 points that season. Led all rookies in points. As I mentioned in the last episode featuring Alexander Mogilny, he was in that group of players that scored, I think it was 50 players, if I remember correctly, that scored over 100 points in the 1992-93 season, and it has not been duplicated since. But continuing on with Joey Juneau, he finished second. He was part of the all-rookie team. He finished second in Calder Trophy voting, only because Timo Solani scored 76 goals that season and broke the rookie record by a large margin. And the next season, to which most Bruins fans, and actually he was featured on a line with fellow former RPI engineer Adam Oates. That's why he scored that many points as a Boston Bruin in his first full season with the Bruins. And at the trade deadline in 1994, Harry Sinden said, "We're going to ship you off to Washington for Al Iafrate." What the crap, Harry Sinden? What were you thinking? Anyway, back to Joey Juneau. He spent most of his career with the Caps as a second-line center, spent 6 seasons with the Capitals, adapting his style into as a solid two-way center. Played a pivotal role in the Capitals' Stanley Cup run to the Stanley Cup final in 1988. He scored the game-winning goal in Game 6 against Buffalo in the Eastern Conference Final. I remember that because I was in Ottawa playing pool when that goal was scored. Unfortunately for him, injury, like the last episode, Alexander Mogilny, he had a lot of injuries that would plague his career. He had stops in other cities, but was still a productive player on the ice. He retired in 2004, and in 16 seasons in the NHL with Boston, Washington, Buffalo, Ottawa, Phoenix, and Montreal, he scored 156 goals and 416 assists in 828 games. He was named to RPI's Ring of Honor in 2007. And 2 fun facts about Joey Juneau from off the ice. He was in a band called the Off Wings as in his time in Washington. And he built and flew his own airplane from scratch with his father during the 1994 lockout because, quote, I was so bored.
Man, that's amazing. That's great. First of all, you have to be very smart to begin with to one, be able to build the plane, two, graduate with a 4.0 from RPI in aeronautical engineering. That's ridiculous. But
A
also, like
literal
you,
scientist.
yeah, and then like you said, not knowing English. I mean, you want to go back and you want to tell Harry Senden, I don't Juneau what you were thinking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I worked pretty hard for that one and it was not worth it. I'm sorry.
And by the way, he was one of 21 players in the 1992-93 season to score 100 points or more. It was 50. There was 50 goal scorers of 50. It was 14 players who scored 50 goals or more. Again, one of them being Teemu Selanne, who had 76 that season and won the Calder Trophy. So that's my favorite athlete to wear number 90. Dustin, who's your favorite athlete to wear number 90?
Well, Ryan, let me first start off by saying I do not have as many facts about my favorite number 90 as you did about Joe Juneau. But man, it was a great pick from you for Joe Juneau. But my favorite 90, and I debated. I went back and forth because I thought about picking Julius Peppers, but then I said, where's my heart going to take me? And we're staying in football, but I said there'd be Titans love on this show, and I gave some to Tony Pollard. But I'm going back to the Titans past. Jevon Kearse. Okay, Jevon Kearse. He was somebody who I loved to watch play. And you can tell the years that I really got in and started to watch football. I've mentioned it before. Before the years of 1998 and 99, I didn't really watch football that much. But for whatever reason, that's when my love of football really took off. And for reasons still not really known to me, I felt a connection with the Seahawks. I picked the Seahawks at that time. I've gone over it. My dad did not have a team. But one player that I love to watch, and I really like to watch the Titans back in those days because offensively they had Steve McNair and Kevin Dyson and Eddie George. Love those guys. But on the defense was a athlete the likes of which I had never seen. Jevon Kearse, his nickname is the Freak, okay? That's his nickname because of his numbers at the combine. He had 4.43 speed. He had, like, his vertical jump was insane. That's where the nickname was born. Go back and look up his numbers. If you're a combine head, the combine's never really my thing, but his numbers jumped off the page. Now, he had some injuries that dogged him in his career a little bit, but he had 130 career games, 74 sacks, and 263 tackles. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's a 1-time All-Pro. He is the 1999 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. My apologies. And he came roaring out of the gate with 14 and a half sacks his rookie year in 1999. The NFL just was not ready for him at the time. He later joined the Eagles for about 3 years in his career, I believe, and he had some nice years. He was somebody that those Jim Johnson defenses, game plans were built around him. Opposing offenses, they had to worry about him. But I think he averaged about 8.5 sacks, 7.5 sacks at his time in Philly. Wasn't quite the player that he was at his early years in Tennessee, but man, he's somebody that I love to watch play. I loved to watch him get after the quarterback, and he's a throwback to the era where I really started watching football, and he's one of the players that I love to watch suit up every Sunday. So shout out to you, the original Freak, Jevon Kearse.
Yeah, I remember him his rookie year. He broke out, and the Titans were concerned about his weight because he was 6'4", but I think he only weighed about 250, 240. So they put him on this diet plan where he had to basically eat eat and keep eating like a strong man. Like he's like, yeah, I would just like, they would just give me like a plate full of shrimp and had to eat all the shrimp.
Man.
Like it was crazy, but he had incredible speed off the edge from the at the University of Florida, and he wreaked havoc against the opposing offenses there. And yeah, and looking at his stats there, early in his career, that's when he seemed to peak. 14 and a half sacks his rookie year, runaway offensive rookie of the year. Then 11 and a half, 10, only 2 in 2002 because he only played in 4 games. But yeah, I mean, he solid numbers in his career. 9.5 sacks in 2003, was nominated for the comeback player of the year. And obviously injuries derailed a lot of his, like you say, injuries derailed a lot of what he could do, what might have been if he had stayed healthy. He was just incredible. He's an incredible player, like absolutely incredible defensive end, always a threat to sack the quarterback wherever you find him on the field. All right, Desi, with our history of Alabama Crimson Tide. Her number 90 is Jaron Reed, defensive tackle, played at the East Mississippi Community College, Pride of the Lions, where he recorded 100 tackles, including 10.5 for a loss. Joined Alabama in 2014, played in all 14 games that year, recording 53 tackles and 1 sack. Came back in 2015. Instead of going to the draft, helped his team win the national title that year. Started in all 15 games and recorded 55 says tables, but it's tackles and a sack.
Yeah.
Stupid autocorrect.
Jevon, get the table.
He was drafted by the Seahawks in 2016 in the second round, played your 1 year in KC and Green Bay before rejoining the Seahawks in 2023. We are 12 and roll Tide.
I was going to
Thank
say,
you, Desi.
Desi, I saw you type and I was going to be like, Jaron Reed, current Seahawk, but you covered it all. There it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's back this week, everybody. I think he
Yay.
returned for the Falcons game. He was injured, but he's back.
He's back. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Before we do, just gotta remind the folks watching and listening to follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also check out other podcasts and written content at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts, and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and our host, which is Podbean, Freshly Brewed Podcasts. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube so you know when shows go live, when we have show clips, and when we have special announcements. Again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to have some YouTube exclusive content. Friend of the show, guys, going to be talking about the college football playoff. We're going to preview all 4 rounds leading up to the championship game on January 19th. Our first video featuring the first round matchups will go up the morning of December 19th, which is next Friday. We're going to record on Thursday and we're going to post on Friday. Hit that notification, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll know when the videos go up. Thank you again for joining us on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, and hopefully there's no car appointments or vet visits, emergency vet visits to get. So we'll be back 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning, reviewing Thursday night football's matchup between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Check out the game preview on the Morgan Man Sports Podcast. He'll be reviewing that which it'll be released tomorrow, Thursday, and we'll be previewing what's going to stand out to us in week 15 already in the NFL 2025 season. Incredible. So again, for Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We're signing off. Have a great night. We'll talk to you on Saturday morning, live at 10 a.m. Eastern. Replay and podcast released later that day. Take care and have a great rest of the week.
Good night, everybody.